Well, let me tell you something, brother.
Snort, snort, snort.
Kogan. Drip.
Snort, snort.
I got the drip. Go.
Testing. Okay, is it working now? So this microphone had a firmware update last night. First one it's had since I've ever bought it. And apparently it decided to unmap it in OBS. So I guess we got to do the intro over. I don't know why it unmapped it in OBS. In Windows, it's still set as the default device for audio capture. It makes no sense whatsoever that it would not have been selected in OBS. Okay, time for a do-over. Today is Doom Day, because today is the early release of Doom the Dark Ages. If you purchased the higher-end digital deluxe edition of the game, then today you have access to it as of 5 p.m. Pacific time. In fact, I believe I can probably pre-download it right now, finally. I've been waiting to do so, and it actually wasn't available for preload as of yet. However, see, it says installed, but when I click on it, error 100%, view progress, see error details. The update failed. It's literally giving me the update failed over and over. I'm just going to delete it then, uninstall and reinstall it. I had a feeling there was going to be a problem, and I'm curious if we're going to have a problem today with this or not. Because remember, I bought the special edition so I could play it today. And I don't know if it's going to work or not, because it seemed to glitch when I bought it, and everyone was like, "Oh, don't worry about it." I have to worry about it. I don't know. I'm trying to see. It says I own it, but there's no download link. So if I go to game, it says play. You're too early. Check the Xbox app for the launch date. I am in the Xbox app, and the game is not installed. I can't, dude, I think it's screwed up. It won't even let me preload the game. Let me see if I close the app and open it. Yeah, this is a problem. It's playable as of 5 p.m. But you're supposed to be able to pre-download it early. Yeah, it says play, as if I could play it right now, but it says in 2 days. Which is bullshit, because I bought the special edition. Here it is. Yeah, I don't know. I might be screwed. This thing might be all messed up. And I'm going to be pretty upset, if this doesn't work when I spent extra money on it. It says 1 of 3 editions. There it is, premium edition. Go to game. And I click on it. Play, install. This is a bundle with multiple options. What do you want to play? The regular edition or the DLC, the skin pack, the Slayer skin, or the art book? I guess the art book and soundtrack didn't install, but the other things apparently did. Yeah, this is all messed up. The way they did it is so stupid. I don't know if it's going to work. I'll show you what I mean. Ready? Sorry, because I wasn't, going to actually do this. So look, Doom the Dark Ages Premium Edition, right? 5 hours, 18 minutes, and it says play install. Pre-order $99.99. Why? I already have it. Why would it have a pre-order button if I already have it, right? And then play install. Look at this that pops up. So I guess maybe it'll work from that link. I hope so. I hope it'll work from that link, because I paid extra to play it early today so that we could play it days early. Why? Because I realized that if we played it later in the week, we wouldn't have a lot of time to really focus on it, because on Friday, it's the release of the Capcom Fighting Collection 2, which I want to play. So we can't have 2, new releases out basically at the same time. If I waited until Wednesday night to play it, I'd only have Wednesday and Thursday. This way we have tonight, we have tomorrow, we have another day at least to play it. And if we like it, we can play a lot of it before the Capcom Fighting Collection comes out. Okay? So we'll see what happens. Hopefully it works. It claimed on that page that it was going to come out, in 5 hours, which is perfect. We're going to play it tonight at 6:45 p.m. Pacific time. So I'm excited to play it and figure out what the heck it actually is. Here's why. I thought that Doom 2016 was much closer to the tone and what they were going for in the original Doom games from the 90s, while Eternal went off the deep end, particularly with the story. The Doom guy, because that's what he used to be called, the Doom guy, or the Space Marine, all of a sudden now became the Slayer. He's a universal hero who actually existed at various points in time. He was fighting against both angels and demons, killing them all. It's like, wait, what the fuck are you talking about? The story of Doom is incredibly simple. Scientists went too far and decided to open dimensional portals thinking they were going to find some kind of power or discovery there. And instead, they invited demons into our dimension, which started taking over Mars and then eventually Earth. Well, one man said, enough of this shit. You killed my goddamn pet. Was it a pet cat or dog or rabbit or something? I don't even know what it is. But you killed my pet. I've had enough. It's time for revenge. And he literally just picks up anything in his way to kill these demons, and he's unstoppable. He's literally an unstoppable force. And it's that simple. That's the plot of Doom. No one will beat the Space Marine. He is an unstoppable force of, testosterone, rage, and revenge. So one man versus an entire dimension, and he's winning. Okay? Very simple. We didn't exactly. Doom guy or Space Marine was the original John Wick. You guys have hit it on the head. It's the same plot. Now, it works, does it not? John Wick has had how many movies? And he's still successful. Apparently, they're bringing him back for another one. So the plot works. So why, in Doom Eternal, did they have to then go ahead and do some really stupid shit in regards to the plot and make, now he's the Doom Slayer, the universal hero, and all of that? It doesn't make any sense. It feels to me like they took the plot of Doom and they handed it over to like a caffeine-fueled 14-year-old, a zit-faced teenager who's likes writing fan fictions. And he's like, I'm going to come in an idea. This is going to be a great idea, everyone. And he comes up with this dumb shit and he uploads it to the internet, some fan service community, right? And then everyone just criticizes it. And it's like, wow, what a stupid idea. That's now the plot of Doom. Who approved it? I have no fucking clue. It's really dumb. And the worst part is most of the plot doesn't even happen in Doom Eternal. It all takes place in like these logs that you have to read. Do you remember Doom 1 and 2 when you were reading logs all the time? So you see the point I'm making is that Doom Eternal really took both the gameplay and the story elements and threw it in a direction that just didn't feel like Doom at all. Doom 2016 had homages to the classic Doom and did modernize some things, and it felt like the perfect blend. Doom Eternal felt like, let's throw away all of the amazing history that this franchise has and just make it something that it never was before, and I didn't like it. Now, Doom the Dark Ages is supposed to be a prequel. Oh boy, you guys know how much I love prequels, right? It's supposed to be a story of how the Doom Slayer actually was a hero in the past, again, fighting against entire dimensions of demons and angels and all of this crap. So this is supposed to explain that, all right? And this is supposed to be a story where he's kind of like a knight, and he uses a sword and shield. Of course, he does use guns, but he can also parry bullets and do crazy stuff. The way I see it is, it can be fun. It could work. It could also fall flat on its face and suck. But I want to judge it very fairly. I am going to be playing it on PC with keyboard and mouse as opposed to a controller, all right? And I hope that it's going to be good. Really, I do. We're going to find out tonight. I paid extra to play it early so we could play a lot of it this week before other new releases came out. And I certainly hope that it's going to be a good game and we're all going to enjoy and have a great time together. Can't guarantee that, but I'll tell you, I'm going to do my honest best tonight on my late stream to try to enjoy it and make this an entertaining, thing. Maybe it's one of these things where I just got to stop caring and instead just say it's like a popcorn movie, unplug your brain, don't think too hard, and just, murder giant armies of monsters and enjoy the gameplay and the visceral nature of it. And if that's the case, I guess that's what we do. All right. So, if I don't go into it with the wrong mindset, maybe I'll like it more. When I went into Doom Eternal, I was totally expecting, hey, Doom 2016, but maybe, advancing the plot and some upgrades. And it wasn't that at all. It literally playing Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal, it feels like two completely different games. So what will this one be? I guess we'll find out. All right, as you can see, I'm pumped for it. We got Doom text on my leaderboard, right? We've got Doom animations with other animations, but Doom animations on my screen here today. I got hell itself behind me, the flames of hell burning in my studio here. I'm ready. Okay? And I've also, Dabhan says we can finish it easily. It's only about 15 hours long. You know what? Good. Because a game, if it is adrenaline fueled and full of action and all that, do you really need 40 hours of that? If it's 15 hours long, that's good, I feel. Like, maybe we'll beat it within a couple of weeks, and it won't feel like it's overstayed its welcome, right? It'll just be like a good length game. I'd be okay with that. So I guess we're going to see how it goes starting tonight on my late stream. I hope you'll join me. 6:45 p.m. Pacific time, the stream will go live. Typically, gameplay starts around 7:15 p.m. Pacific time, and we'll play it for around 2 to 2.5 hours, and then we're going to do it again tomorrow as the daytime stream. So that'll be another 2.5 to 3 hours. So between the first two sessions, we'll get 5+ hours in of Doom the Dark Ages and be able to make a judgment. If we really like it, I'm going to play it a lot more this week. I'll probably do it again on Thursday, maybe even Friday night. If we don't like it as much or it's just kind of then maybe we'll play it a little less. But my goal is to try to get between 7 to 8 hours in this week and then next week to try to beat it. I hope you're all doing well. The good news here is that we have been doing great in regards to support recently. We are at 58 out of 60 goals hit. Only 2 more goals are needed for DSP Tries It Wingstop, which seemed to be the one you guys were most interested in because I had never had Wingstop before and never had done a DSP Tries It on it. Now, we've already had a better idea. The next DSP Tries It will not be fast food, but instead I'm going to actually order from a sit-down restaurant. I don't know if it'll be like Red Robin or Applebee's or something like that, but it's going to be a chain that now are trying to offer food that is rivaling fast food when it comes to pricing and value, but it's a better quality. For those who don't know, in the United States, fast food prices have absolutely skyrocketed in the last year. You've gone from being able to get a combo at McDonald's for like $8, $9 to now the cheapest one is like 17. It's absolutely ridiculous. The food prices have almost doubled. And people now are starting to argue, why on earth are we spending $20+ for a meal for fast food when we know the quality is bad, when we can spend that same amount of money at an actual sit-down restaurant like Red Robin, Applebee's, someone just said Denny's even, and you can get a higher quality meal, but it's still takeout. So I'm actually going to try some of this stuff and give it a shot. I haven't eaten an Applebee's in a very long time, like over a decade. So it'll be interesting. Okay, anyway. So the good news is stuff's been going well. Last night, we did not hit our support goal for Call of Duty, but we actually did really good on the first stream yesterday, so it didn't really matter. It kind of evened out. We're currently at 58 out of 60 goals, all right? So today, if we have a really well-supported first stream right now, and we hit 2 goals, we'll actually be doing DSP tries at Wingstop today at the end of this stream. If we don't hit it on this stream, that's okay. Let's say we hit a goal on this stream and a goal for Doom tonight, then we will be doing DSP tries it tomorrow after the daytime stream of Doom, The Dark Ages. So let's see how it goes. Let's see what kind of support that we can get for Blueprints today. And hopefully we hit the goal and we can stay on pace. If somehow we get some people who come in here and are incredibly generous, then awesome. And obviously that would be amazing if it happened. I'm not really foreseeing that happening. For example, so far this week, guess how we're doing on Kick after our first streaming day? 2 subs. So, yeah, Kick has definitely slowed down recently. It sure would be great if you're watching on Kick and you like the content, if you could support it. 2 subs, arguably the slowest we've had to a start on Kick any week that I've streamed on it. It would be great to get that picking up. Please consider supporting the stream today. Also, keep in mind, viewership on Kick helps because now I'm part of the Kick Partner Program. So if you are watching on Kick, thank you simply for watching. That does help, okay? Obviously, subs are more important overall, but just the viewership is good, okay? Tangy Savory Seasoning says, I hope we're not planning on ordering fake boneless wings. I want to see if you can do like a combo of like both. Like maybe you can get some boneless, some bone in. I want to try both, compare them both, see what they're like. Okay. So anyway, so good stuff. Please, let's get our first support in before we start talking about our major topic of the day. Can we get our first super chat, our first tip, our first membership, and our first sub? Right now, we've got absolutely nothing. 0. Let's get who will be the first person to step up and support the podcast today? Who's it going to be? Dying but not dead says, when you eat the wings, could you put the microphone really close to your mouth? I'll have to go like that or something. No, there is no advertisements on Kick. There are pluses and minuses to watching on YouTube and Kick. The pluses of watching on YouTube are that you can get the highest quality 1440p, okay? And I believe on YouTube at any point, you can actually like skip around during the live stream and see, you know, any point. Like if you come in late, you can rewind and go on and watch what you missed live. What was the third? There's 3 advantages to YouTube. What's the other one? There's one other one that it's eluding me right now. I can't remember exactly what it is. On Kick, the advantages are that number 1, the chat's better. It's more based off of the Twitch chat. So you got better emotes and things like that. And there's no ads on Kick. But Kick has disadvantages. For example, Kick is more apt to trolling. So if you're in the Kick chat, you're probably going to get more trolling there. It's less under control. Kick has lower quality. It only does 1080p as opposed to the 1440p of YouTube. So there's a lot of different advantages and disadvantages to it. Oh, that's another one. When you watch on YouTube, the chat is archived. So if you're watching live, you missed, you could rewind and see the chat from that. On Kick, that doesn't happen, right? I don't think so. If you watch, actually, I don't even know. Maybe it does. I think it doesn't work properly. Like if you watch an archive on Kick, the chat doesn't load right. I've watched archives on Kick and the chat doesn't work right at all when you're watching after the fact. I don't know why, but it always seemed to have problems. So basically, like I said, there's pluses and minuses to both. Both have good things and bad things about them. I can't really tell you, oh, this one way is much better than the other. I don't think so. I think that they both, it's really your personal preference of what you're looking. If you want the absolute best quality, you got to be on YouTube. That you're going to get the best visuals, the best quality of everything on YouTube. But if you're looking for more of the interactive experience, like the chat and stuff, probably Kick's better. Either one is fine. And if you support me on either platform, it helps. Either way, like you're watching on YouTube, well, ads run and I get paid for there. I'm in the partner program on Kick. Viewership helps me there. If you support really super chats, subs, memberships on either platform, it all helps. So there you go. Okay. No, see, I don't know anything about that. Mariah Scary says, watching at 1440p on YouTube, it actually lags a bit, meaning you're behind. I guess because it has some processing time. Yeah, I wouldn't know. I don't really watch live streams on YouTube, so I wouldn't know anything about that. Okay. All right, guys, let's get our first support. And then we'll get to our first topic of The Last of Us Season 2, which is all the buzz right now. What's going on with it? What a shocking twist that what's happening to the show is actually happening. No way would I have ever been able to predict this one, right? Who's going to be our first super chatter of the day? Who's going to be our first sub over on Kick? And who's going to be the first tip via PayPal? Let's get some other stuff going. And then we'll advance here. Good stuff. Dabhan says, looking on Reddit, your Doom install is bugged. It thinks you have it installed, which is why it says play. id Software are aware of the issue and working on it. Great. That's just delightful. Because, again, I can't install it. And I want to play it tonight. It better not fuck my stream up. Yeah, it's dumb. Like, it just is recently updated. But I deleted it, so it's definitely not installed. You know? Yeah, it says play install, but what I would think is when it's supposed to be live, if I hit play, it'll say, oh, game not detected. Maybe then it'll install it. I don't know. I hope it fixes itself. Because there's nothing I can do about it. It won't let me install it. It literally won't let me install it. And it's a Game Pass issue. A lot of people are stuck at 100%. Nothing happens. Others are having your issue. It just says play. Okay. Yeah, because I'm not paying $100 for it when I already paid $30. That's bullshit. It better work tonight. I guess we'll see. Okay. They better fix it. They better patch it or fix it or whatever they need to do by 5. They got 5 hours to fix it. All right. Well, guys, I guess we're not going to get any more support besides Big Papa Phil today. So I guess we're going to go on to our next story. All right. Perhaps the next story will prompt some of you to support the stream. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, back in 2020, the world was a different place. In 2020, we had a different president. We had a different person or a different group in charge of the United States government for the most part. And even online, the whole mentality of public opinion and culture basically was very swinging to the liberal side. Okay. And so in 2020, when The Last of Us 2 released and everyone discovered that the game was a bait and switch, meaning the game advertised itself as a direct continuation of the plot of the first game, where Joel and Ellie would continue on their journey of survival in a post-apocalyptic wasteland, and you didn't know what was going to happen because Ellie supposedly was the cure to this whole worldwide infection of cordyceps, but what would happen in the second game? But come to find out, it was misadvertised. It was a bait and switch. As we all know today, the co-protagonist of the game, Joel, is murdered within the first few hours of the game. And to make it even worse, they allow you to play as Joel in the early game and then allow you to play as Joel later on in a flashback, which just makes you feel even worse because most people liked Joel as a character and most people saw him as the main character of the franchise. So to have him be murdered in such a unceremonious way, and now for the rest of the game, you're forced to either play as Ellie, obviously his adopted daughter, or as Abby, his murderer, was shocking. Now you might say, well, nothing about that sounds too bad. Well, you're right. To me, that wasn't the problem with the game. The problem was that the rest of the game was literally an insanely ham-fisted, poorly written, poorly paced, poorly executed torture porn story. Like literally Ellie, her entire character is transformed into something completely different than the first game. We're to expect that she's forgotten everything about what she learned in the first game and becomes a complete idiot and then becomes a total revenge-fueled psycho killer. Meanwhile, Abby, who you're supposed to be told is a likable, sympathetic character, ends up being a horrible person who goes on to basically sleep around with a guy who already has a pregnant girlfriend, but she doesn't care. Right? And she also again, I can continue with how badly this story is written. Basically, there's not a likable character in the story. Like every character in the story is badly written, poorly executed, and not likable whatsoever. In fact, I would go so far to say you'd have to be a sociopath to like any of the characters in The Last of Us 2, but some people did. So obviously people are stupid. Okay? That was my problem with The Last of Us 2. A lot of people had issue because Ellie is gay and because there's a trans character in the game. I didn't give a shit about those things at all. I really didn't feel like there was a problem with those things. If the story hit and resonated and was a good one, I probably wouldn't have given a shit about anything besides, okay, but it wasn't. I'm sorry. The story is absolutely terribly written, paced, and it's just a horrible way to progress the story when you have to forget everything from the first game that everyone liked. Ellie grew up the ultimate survivor, didn't like drama and the way that teens acted because she grew up in a different world. She was reading a diary of an angsty teen saying, I can't believe teens used to be like that. Fast forward to The Last of Us 2, Ellie is an angsty teen who's doing all the wrong things, making all the same mistakes that angsty teens did before the apocalypse. How? You learned already, and you said so in the first game, so how did you regress? It doesn't make sense. It's a poor plot device because Druckmann, who was fully in charge of the plot of The Last of Us 2 when he was not, he was the co-writer of The Last of Us 1, he decided that he wanted to put it in a different direction to push an agenda. His agenda was to try to get as many people talking about Last of Us 2 as possible through leftist writing and policies. He purposefully made the story very liberal, so that way, if anyone criticized his game, he could say that they were a bigot, that they were homophobic or transphobic, and that they were a villain to be basically derided and publicly called out, and that if you bought or played The Last of Us 2, you were sticking it to the online homophobic trolls, and you were basically doing the right thing for society. I wish that this was all fabricated in a joke, except this all was publicly said by him online on his Twitter account and other places. He was outright saying this stuff. And so what happened is there was this feel-good online movement of people who championed The Last of Us 2. The games media, which has always been very, very leftist and liberal, fully pushed Last of Us 2 as the best game of the generation, despite the fact that there really wasn't anything to back that up. Is the game good? Sure. It's got better gameplay mechanics, great world building and design, set design, great graphics, good audio design. But the pacing is absolutely atrocious. Killing off Joel at the beginning of the game is an awful idea. If anything, if that was going to happen, it should have happened at the end of the game. And the actual story is miserable torture porn. That's not a good story whatsoever. It's just not. It's one of the most poorly written, executed stories in history that disrespects people who liked the first game. Okay? So, after a whole year of controversy, the game-winning Game of the Year, because again, leftist journalists voting for their political agenda rather than the quality of the game, we thought that we were done with all of this until it was announced that The Last of Us would now be a TV show. And everyone collectively said either yay or oh, because here's the thing. If only The Last of Us 1 existed, and they announced that Last of Us was going to be a TV show, I think everyone would have been happy. Everyone would have been like, yeah, Last of Us is great. We can't wait. But knowing that after season 1, there was going to be a season 2 that likely was going to cover the plot of The Last of Us 2, everyone got very, very nervous. Now, for those who did not see The Last of Us season 1, a lot of it is shot-for-shot recreating of the game. And quite frankly and honestly, the shot-for-shot recreations are actually the best part of the series. Anytime that it tries to replicate the great writing and stuff that happened in the first game, masterpiece level. But a lot of times, season 1 tried to veer from that and do things differently. For example, there's an entire episode featuring the backstory of a supporting character that was part of one chapter of the game of The Last of Us 1. But then this entire episode is about his backstory of falling in love with another man and having a homosexual romantic relationship. And it really has nothing to do with the plot of it at all. It's a huge departure from the plot of the show. And when the episode's over, you're like, well, that was a good story, but what does that have to do with anything? And then come to find out, absolutely nothing. It literally has nothing to do with anything. They just crammed it in there to have this agenda that, oh, you should watch more stories with homosexuals in it because they're normal people. Fine. But what does that have to do with The Last of Us? Nothing. Okay? In fact, they had another whole episode, I should say, that was based on the prequel DLC of The Last of Us. Now, this is the backstory of Ellie, where she had a romantic teen relationship with a young girl when she was also young and underage. So it's basically like a girl crush, right? So this is the story of how her and her friend basically got into trouble because her friend eventually gets bitten and becomes infected. And it's like this really tragic backstory of Ellie. And that's fine if it's told as like a DLC add-on. But again, it's not integral to the core story of The Last of Us 1. It's fine, but it should have been something as like an aside or a special story. It didn't have to be a whole episode of the first season. So you could definitely see the changes that they were making. Now, all of a sudden, Joel's wife and daughter were black, when in the original show they were white. Well, what's the point of that? None. It serves no purpose. There was no reason to make that change, but they decided to do it for the show. And there's all little subtle changes like that throughout season 1 that you're kind of like, what are they getting at here? I don't really understand, okay? But here's the thing. Still, season 1 was praised. Personally, I thought it was okay. Some parts I liked, some parts I disliked, but I thought it was overall just all right. But of course, the mainstream media, the journalists, they loved it. Best show ever, 10 out of 10. Kiss its butt, especially because of its liberal themes. So now The Last of Us 2 has now been out for about a month. Okay? And much like the game, The Last of Us 2 starts off with a bait and switch, and then all of a sudden in episode 2, just like in Last of Us 2 the game, Joel is brutally murdered by Abby. Now, when this happened in the game, everyone rallied against it, said, what a bad choice, what an awful thing to do. Why on earth did they murder the most likable character that everyone enjoyed from the first game so early? And then as you continued to play the game and you saw the literal revenge torture porn storyline, you've realized why. Because it was an agenda. Neil Druckmann didn't like Joel as a character. He wanted to push a different kind of agenda and story to try to get himself a name in the liberal circles. And it worked in the game. Again, this whole campaign of either you like the game or you're a bigot was actually prominent on the internet in 2020. People accused me of being a bigot because I criticized the plot and pacing of the game. So, sadly, for a drugster, 2025 world reality is not the same as 2020. In the last 5 years, things have dramatically changed. We have seen a cultural shift worldwide towards moral conservative political beliefs and values. In the United States, our government has completely flipped, and now we have Donald Trump back in power, along with his Republican, cabinet and everyone in Congress, and it's all controlled by Republicans. Because of that, we're now seeing a return to conservative ways of thought, meaning people don't want to hear that, oh, the writing of season 1, the characters from season 1 don't matter because I got this story to tell you about Ellie and her love of another woman and how she's upset that Joel's dead and now she has to go on a crazy rant or rampage across the land. And, oh, by the way, there's all these other themes that we're going to keep pushing. Basically, people don't want it anymore. 5 years ago, that was what was popular. Today, it's not. Things have changed. If this show had released in 2020, probably it would have had mass appeal. But what's happened is now The Last of Us Season 2 is being completely and utterly derided and destroyed by the internet. And views have dropped off dramatically. Let's take a look. So first off, Naughty Dog is attempting to obviously advertise Last of Us Season 2 heavily every single week when a new episode comes out. Here's their post from 19 hours ago. Episode 5 of Season 2 is in 1 hour. We can't wait to watch Ellie and Dina's Seattle journey continue from last week. Wow. Let's see what people have to say about this. I really like this Jesse guy. Hope he shows up again later in the show. We all know what's going to happen to Jesse, but I won't spoil for those who haven't played the game. Any plans for a remaster of the show? That's pretty funny. The show is cringe and woke. You should have done a limited series only of season 1. It's nothing like the game. I love the picture because of the game. God knows HBO changed a lot in season 2 and it sucks. The casting is bad except Joel and his brother. You lost me after the first episode. Wish you had better casting. The game was perfect. This sucks. And they decided woke was more important than the show. Only season 2. It's already pulled a Game of Thrones and killed itself. Sad to see you're actually proud of the production as the developer. Why did you have such a good story and let someone random take it and twist it? I'm not a producer, but I can bet any money if they followed the story to the T, just like the game, it would have one of the best shows in a long time, but no why. No thanks, episode 4 ruined the series for me. We're not watching. Could they both be a dad? Which is the new meme. Apparently in season 4, both girls say something like they want to be a dad. Wow, that sounds like something smart to say in 2025, doesn't it? This is so prominent on the internet, this frame. I don't know if this is from episode 4, but just showing how hilarious this looks. This is Ellie in the show. This is supposed to be your believable psycho killer. The little girl who is somehow one-handing a gun. Figure this one out. How exactly she's doing that, because that's not even fucking possible. If in real life she was firing a real gun, the kick would probably reel her arm back and break it, right? Her face, look at her face. And by the way, it's a TV show. They easily could have picked the perfect shots, the perfect scenes. This is what they chose to go with in the show. Also, hilariously, one thing that everyone has pointed out about season 2. In season 1, Ellie was supposed to be a younger girl. In season 2, she's supposed to be grown up. Years later, she's bigger, right? She's a young adult. In the game, that's reflected. In the show, she's exactly the same because this actress, Bella Ramsey, apparently has a condition where basically her body isn't really growing, and so she still has the body of a child. So here we are in an arc where she's supposed to be a young adult / late teens, and she's supposed to be believably going around killing people, and she looks like a 5-year-old. So it's not believable at all. It looks awful. So the casting was basically atrocious. To actually pick her for this role made no sense. They should have researched her and realized she wasn't going to age like Ellie was supposed to age. Okay? So anyway, not only is she not believable as a protagonist mass killer, but people are pretty upset, saying that the show has become even more woke than the game. And of course, again, if this were 2020, no one would be saying anything. But it's 2025. People don't want woke anymore. You're 5 years too late for this to work, and people are upset. We could just keep reading. The show fucking sucks. Woke trash. Bring back Hennig because Neil sucks. For those who don't know, even though she didn't get credit, supposedly Hennig is the co-writer of Last of Us 1. And everyone wants her back because she apparently wrote the best parts. The show sucks dick now. You fucking ruined everything. No one is seeing this crap woke series anymore. You fucked it big time. Woke crap. I can't wait either for the reviews. The characters are the only reason I didn't watch the TV show. Instead, I'm playing the game again. So anyway, oh look, sell out to HBO. This is the result you get. The show is mid. I enjoyed both games. Ellie always appears helpless when in the second game she can hold her ground. This feels more like a love drama story than a story driven by anger and revenge. So, if you can believe it, it got even worse. So the original plot is torture porn. Now it's a love story? Like what? So anyway, if you couldn't believe the dichotomy, here's The Last of Us 2 on Rotten Tomatoes. Season 2, that is. Okay? First thing they show is Joel, who's not even in season 2 for more than an episode. So why they actually have him here is absolutely fucking hilarious. Okay? And as you scroll down, you're going to see critics, again, liberal leftist critics, gave the series season 2 a 95%. However, people who are actively watching the show in season 2 and giving their own reviews have review bombed the show and said it is 41%. Just look at the dichotomy here. Here's an official critic, right? Often middle seasons can feel like a way station, an impatient stopover until the meat of the work in the final act, but The Last of Us gifts the audience with many sublime moments that make it more than worthwhile in the meantime. For the record, when this critic wrote this, season 3 hadn't been greenlit yet. The show's producers seem to delight in presenting situations which look like one thing, only to shift the dynamic as circumstances change and new facts emerge, like turning a crystal in a shaft of light. The series continues to strike an incredible balance between action, psychological complexity, and human emotion. It honors the legacy of the video games while adding even greater nuance to the medium of television. Now let's read audience reviews. So bad. Changes are all for the worse. It's nowhere near as brutal as the game. Disappointing. Agenda disfraza the Siri Basada. Hold on a second. Hold on a second, guys. Here we go. Go. In 1 second, we got a troll. Taking care of it quick. Okay, done. Easy peasy. Okay. So, pretty interesting difference between actual viewers reviewing it and the liberal media, no? So, continuing on, all you got to do is simply search on Google, and you're going to see everyone talking about this. Last of Us loses viewers after losing the major character. It tanks. The ratings have collapsed. It's getting review bombed. People are quitting the show. And to give some concrete numbers to this, because there's several different articles that have been written, but the concrete numbers are as follows. Season 1 of The Last of Us 1, or The Last of Us, I should just say, had over 1 million viewers per episode. Every single episode had over 1 million viewers, and people were saying it was breaking records of viewership and all of that. Okay? Season 2 The premiere pulled in 938,000. So right there, basically, it's less than every episode of season 1 to begin with. All right. Episode 2 fell to only 643,000 viewers. The show has lost more than half of its viewership in season 2. That's pretty bad. Normally, when you have a show that's a hit, the second season will increase in viewership. Then it'll trail off. Because the thing is, when you have a show that's a new show, it has to find its footing. And once it finds its footing and then word of mouth spreads, typically season 2 will be bigger than season 1. That's what happened with Game of Thrones. That's what happened with shows like Dexter. Anything, the first season is kind of slower, and then boom, season 2, higher production values, bigger budgets, and more viewership. With Last of Us 2, it's actually halved. Half as many. That's pretty bad, right? Episode 3 did gain back some viewers, but not a lot. Episode 4, they don't know yet. They don't actually have the numbers, I guess, or they're about to get them. And episode 5 just aired yesterday, I think. So no one knows yet either. But it ain't good. Essentially, if you're, looking at it from a perspective of, a show that's getting attention, when half the audience says your show sucks, they're giving it like 40-something% satisfaction rating on Rotten Tomatoes. And when you've lost half of the show's viewership in season 2, that's terrible. And in addition to that, HBO idiotically auto-approved season 3 right after episode 1 dropped. So they already have greenlit the budget and everything. They're already making season 3 despite the fact that season 2 is tanking miserably. So they fucked up. They jumped the gun. They way too quickly approved a third season with it before actually seeing what the real reaction would be to season 2. So in regards to this show, it's not like those of us who played Last of Us 2 didn't see the writing on the wall and warn everyone, right? Was I not saying when Last of Us, season 1 came out, listen, this is good for now, but I guarantee you that when it's time for season 2, these things will happen. And not only that, but now we're out of the woke era. The woke era ended. We're now going back to the other direction in an extreme manner, by the way. It's not even like, oh, it's a little bit to that way. We're like extreme to the right now. So it's completely blowing up in their faces. And you want to know the funniest part about all of it? Neil Druckmann is silent. Neil Druckmann, who was so verbose and so, oh, you're a bigot if you don't like Last of Us 2, the game, is not saying anything about the decline of Last of Us 2, the show, despite the fact that he's primarily responsible for it. I think he realizes people don't put up with your bullshit anymore. No one's going to be, accepting to be called a bigot because they don't like your show. Your show is fucking terrible, and your game was too. Your game had great moments that were good and good things to it, good aspects, but they were fully overshadowed by your assholery and your liberal bullshit. So because of that, now, and this honestly, guys, is actually why I'm fucking fed up. You want to know why I'm really fed up by Neil Druckmann? The Last of Us Part 2, the game, had some of the best accessibility features of any video game ever made. The game had a revolutionary sonar system. And the sonar system allowed blind people to play the game fully. And this level of accessibility, since then, has never been copied, emulated, or reached. It seems like most major game developers kind of gave up, and they all have these standard checkboxes for basic accessibility. And then that's it. And I don't understand why no one talks about this, because he force-fed the whole liberal agenda bullshit down everyone's throat, because he said if you don't like Last of Us 2, you're a bigot. It seems like accessibility has become an afterthought. I thought with Last of Us 2 being, oh, it's game of the year and all that, now every AAA game developer would be like, we need to have what Last of Us 2 has. We need to have that accessibility suite for all these different people who have different disabilities. So now everyone can play video games at the same level and everyone can enjoy them for what they're meant to be, works of art. Instead, it seems like because of what happened with Last of Us 2, most AAA developers are like, no thanks. We don't even want to touch that beehive, that hornet's nest. Instead, we'll just do the basic and just move on. We don't give a shit. And that is insanely sad. That is a disservice to people who need those accessibility features and don't get them now. Because he had to make it all about his own personal agendas and horseshit, and him getting over as some kind of a leftist pariah, right? I'm going to push this liberal agenda to the masses. Everyone in gaming will love liberal. Well, guess what? No one does now. Every single game that has it is flopping and failing. Literally in a row. They're all failing miserably. You got Dragon Age Veilguard with its fucking pulling a bar of bullshit. You've got Assassin's Creed Shadows with a black samurai protagonist. We can keep going. But the more that you push the liberal agenda, the more you're failing in 2025. So now, sadly, it seems like accessibility has been associated with woke. And I don't think that's fair at all. I think the people who need this accessibility don't give a shit. And they should deserve respect. And they should deserve attention. And now they're not getting it. I feel like we went 10 steps forward in 2020, and now we've gone 72 steps back because this idiot couldn't get over his own goddamn selfishness and ego. And the funny part about it is, Druckmann, you could tell with the way he behaved when Last of Us Part 1 came out. He thought for sure he was going to be accepted as the bridge of video games and TV. He was going to be the guy who everyone was going to want to be involved with their projects and consult or direct their shows. Literally, Hollywood has rejected him. No one in Hollywood wants anything to do with this man. They see him for the egotistical jerk that he is. No one likes him. When he went to the red carpet to pose like most people do and everyone rushes to take pictures, no one knew who he was and no one cared. He just stood there like this and everyone just kind of laughed at him. He's falling apart as a game developer. He was supposed to make a whole Last of Us multiplayer game and canceled the whole goddamn thing. Now his new game that he's trying to pump out also is being micro-analyzed and ripped apart for these leftist woke agendas. The guy doesn't even learn. He keeps going. You know what I'm saying? So the truth is, the writing was on the wall to begin with, but some people are just so up their own ass that they don't want to listen. And it's sad because I feel like when you have someone like this in a position of power, someone who's given a lot of attention and money, because let's face it, he made a lot of money on the games, being the head of Naughty Dog, all right, he feels infallible. He feels like he's able to say and do whatever he wants. He can push whatever agenda he wants, but he doesn't look at the people around him. He doesn't read the room. And because of that, here we are now in 2025. Naughty Dog is a shell of its former self. Things that once were successful are failing. And we've now taken a massive step back in games accessibility. And there's only one guy to look at and point the finger at and blame. The Druckster. I don't have a personal agenda against the guy. I just call it like it is. The guy fucked up so bad, he single-handedly injured the games industry. Why do you think that we had a pattern of games like Dragon Age Veilguard or Assassin's Creed Shadows? It's because they looked at Last of Us 2 and all said, I want a piece of that. If we jump into that fad, we too will be successful. And instead, we've now seen multiple high-priority, once successful AAA gaming franchises fizzle, fail, and flounder because they all wanted to copy the leftist agenda. And now, we're all suffering for it. We look at the games that are coming out and we're like, why do they all suck? Why can't we trust that a new game that comes out is good when it's from a tried and true studio? Because they all just chased the fad. They didn't even care. That's the saddest part about all of it. I just want to make this abundantly clear. No one who's making these games and inserting this leftist rhetoric into it cares about the rhetoric. I'm going to repeat myself. None of them care about the rhetoric. They don't actually believe that this leftist rhetoric is good for society or good for us and we need to accept it. They're just trying to make money. They think that it was hot. It was the big thing that Druckmann made mainstream. So we've got to push it and we're going to make money doing it. That's why they did it. And now it's all flopped and failed. It's pathetic. It's sad. And all of us were saying it. And it's not because I'm not going to take credit, say it was me. It was everyone. There was a ton of people talking about this since 2020 to the point where people were like, we're tired of hearing about it. All right, fine. I'll stop talking about it then. And I did. But now all of that shit, as they say, what do they say? The chickens have come back to roost. It's all happening right now. It's going down live right in front of us. Society has rejected politics in games. We just want games. Now society is rejecting these politics in TV shows. We just want good TV shows. We're tired of all of your political agenda horseshit. Okay? I don't believe it. See, Bookworm says, no, I actually think that the game devs drink the Kool-Aid. I'm not going to say that some of them don't. I think all it takes, very simply, is to look at how some of these people post and the stuff that they're doing. I get what you're saying, but I don't think it's everyone. I fully believe that the people who are in power of these AAA studios, the only reason you suddenly saw this sharp shift to this liberal leftist agenda is money. That's it. They saw Last of Us 2 get Game of the Year, and everyone say, oh, if you don't like it, you're a bigot. And they said, we got to do that. We got to get those sales. If we make woke games, people will say, hey, you got to buy our games or else you're a bigot. So everyone's going to be almost forcefully forced to buy them. And you want to talk about an ass backwards way to make money? We're going to just do it because it's the easy way to do it and force people to do it rather than earn it by making a good product. And those are the people who are in charge of gaming today. Gee, I wonder why all these games suck, right? Anyway, so that's that. I'd be very curious to actually see how The Last of Us Season 2 will end in the ratings. And I'm actually curious what's going to happen in regards to the show's third season. Because if in Season 2, only 4 to 5 episodes into an 8-episode season, they've lost half the viewership. And someone just made an interesting point. They said, are you aware that AEW Wrestling, which actually isn't even doing that well, is actually now getting more views than The Last of Us per episode? What the hell? That's insane to think of. The second to third fiddle wrestling promotion, right, is actually doing better. How funny is that? Anyway, all right. Well, I think I've said enough of that. I'll be following the story if any new developments happen. Okay? Okay. We got a few shout outs to do. We have Sarah with a £5 super chat who basically is saying some things here. Says, X comments are not reflective of a sane society. Look at your own X replies. No one takes the cesspit seriously anymore. Listen, I am not one to say that social media is the best place to actually get the true opinion on anything. But again, it's not just that. The show is getting reviewed poorly. The viewership has dropped off. The one selling factor of any show is its viewership, because that's how you sell it to advertisers. That's how you sell it for budget considerations. And if the viewership is now half now of what it was in season 1, in perspective, okay, The Last of Us 2, because of what Druckmann did, not only won Game of the Year, but sold like crazy because of it. Everyone was told it was the best game ever, so they ran out and bought it. A lot of people disagreed, but they still bought it. The show is not doing that at all. No one is saying The Last of Us Season 2 is the best TV show there is right now, and the viewership is halved. So it's completely the opposite of what happened with the game is what's happening with the show right now. And that has nothing to do with X. Well, someone is completely stupidly deaf. Someone tipped a buck and says, the only problem you have with season 2 of The Last of Us is the homophobic and trans story arcs. You sure you don't have a problem? I literally just said those are the things I don't have a problem with. I don't care that Ellie is gay. I don't care that there's a trans character at all. What I care about is that Ellie completely changed from the character she was in season 1 to season 2. She's a completely different, you know, style of personality and behavior. It doesn't fit the character from season 1, which means they hit a reboot button to push said agendas. Do you get it? And I don't like the pacing. It's in medias res, meaning the story starts in the middle, then goes back, then goes forward. It's too confusing. I don't like that there's 2 protagonists and you start with one, then you jump to the other, then you jump to the other. That's too confusing. Everything about it is wrong. From any kind of a writing perspective, it's wrong. It's confusing. It's jarbled. It's not entertaining. It's not rewarding. And the ending sucks ass too. Like everything, every step of the way, it's garbage. But everyone praised it because Ellie was gay and there's a trans character, and Abby was a masculine woman. That was the other thing too. Oh, Ellie's kind of butch, and that's acceptable in today's society too. If you don't like that, oh, you're a bigot. Okay. Excuse me. All right. So, guys, we got some extra time. If you guys want to chat, tag me in chat. Let's see what you want to talk about today. Obviously, guys, if we get some more support, that'd be greatly appreciated. We're 2 goals away from DSP tries at Wingstop. My actual desire would be to do it tomorrow. I know raising $300 on this stream is like a big ask, and it's not going to happen. All right. But I wanted to do it tomorrow. So let's hit the goal today in tonight's stream so we could do it tomorrow during the day stream. Okay. But now I'm nervous. What happens if Game Pass is utterly busted and I can't play this game tonight? Right? Like, I don't even know what to do on the late stream in that case. That's going to suck ass. And that's not my fault. I've paid extra to play the game early with you guys. And it seems like there's nothing I can really do. It's all messed up. Right? It just says play install. And it says that the Dark Ages campaign DLC installed, Divinity skin pack installed, Doomslayer skin installed, and Doom the Dark Ages, there's a play button. And when you click the play button, it just says not available yet. It unlocks at 5 p.m. So I don't know if it's going to work or not. It won't let me preload the game like it's supposed to. It seems fucked up. We're at $24 to support. Guys, please, let's get some more momentum going. That was a pretty good super chat. Can we get a tip? Can we get a sub? We have no subs again. Only 2 subs so far this week on Kick. Can we get some more support on Kick? Ha! You called me fatty? What are you, fucking blind? Get the fuck out of here. Calling me fatty. Right. Nice try. Go watch someone else, bitch. All right, guys, let's get started. So as we've discussed, all right, good early support. Thank you for getting me to a third of my goal. Let's try to hit the goal by the end of today's stream. We got less than 100 to go. Thanks in advance to anyone who supports the stream. Remember, 2 more goals to go, and it's time for DSP Tries It Wingstop, which will probably be tomorrow, unless we get some kind of insane rallying of support and make $300 on this stream, which I'm not foreseeing. I don't think another 250 is coming in between now and the end of Blueprints today, so, but we'll see. Thank you in advance. It would be great to get some support on Kick. We're getting none right now. No subs on Kick. Let's get some subs on Kick today. All right? Cool.
I got the drip going. 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 It's like a faucet that's dripping. You can't make it stop. So what do you want me to do? Have a mute button that every second I'm tapping the mute button just in case I'm gonna have to clear? Like, this is what I mean. These dumb kids. This is what it is. It's dumb kids.